We're just preparing your listening device for ScubaRadio, the world's first radio show devoted to diving. We do this, of course, by filling the radio with water. Don't worry, we're professionals. Thanks to me, you won't even get wet. You see, I've crammed every appendage of my body into the cracks and crevices of your radio, ensuring an airtight seal. By the way, don't touch your on-off knob. That's a very sensitive area. Anyway, I should remind you, we believe in the buddy system just like diving, so don't listen alone. Call your buddy and tell them that ScubaRadio is about to begin.
We're gonna start a new life under the sea.
So, am I gonna drown?
Of course not. Just stay calm and let the gentle currents relax your every muscle.
Under the sea, under the sea.
Did it just get warmer?
There'll be no accusations, just friendly crustaceans under the sea.
Where the hell are the sharks?
And now, here's your dive guide for ScubaRadio, Greg the Dive Master.
And welcome. This is the world's first radio show devoted to diving. I am Greg the Dive Master. CJ is in the studio with me. How are you, buddy?
What's going on?
What's going on?
No, I didn't mean to say it like that.
Yeah.
That's
You meant to
Jerry's
say,
line.
I know. You don't want to take rain on his parade, steal his catchphrase.
Maybe I'll just go.
Say, I'm drunk.
Well, he says, who's drunk?
Who's drunk?
Barry,
Well,
come on.
Then we know who is.
Jerry and everybody
Screw
else, for that
everything
matter.
up.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. He's like, you screw everything
Wait,
up.
what time is it?
Okay. Happy hour.
It's beer 30.
It's beer 30?
That was rhetorical.
Okay. It is. There's that.
That's my answer when he says, who's
Cheers.
drunk? Well,
All
what
right.
time is it?
Well, we got Jerry the Diver Guy connected via the web, as part of the Scuba Radio Scuba Squad. And you heard Barry the Bugger already. Casey the Tobacco Nut, who's wearing some kind of shark headband thing.
Here.
Yeah, that's unique looking.
Did you get that with a kid's meal?
Possibly. It
Was
looks
that
like it does.
was that part of the menu?
Actually, I got it with a small child.
Wow. Okay. Don't really want to say that publicly.
It's hot today.
Too late.
Okay. Bubble Boy's with us. Vinny Two Tanks with us from the left coast. And, of course, in the center square on Facebook Live and YouTube and Twitch would be a new and improved Catmull DiMartini live from the Gomez Hilton. He got a new camera.
Yeah,
guys.
Hey, buddy.
Whatever he did, it looks great.
Yeah.
Is that like HD or something?
It is. He upgraded his camera settings and everything. Got a new
Sweet.
thing so we could see a little bit more detail of what's happening at the Gomez Hilton. Before, that protected us when you couldn't.
Well, I wouldn't. Didn't protect.
Well, I
so to
think it
speak.
did. I think it did. Now we have no protection other than we apologize in advance.
It used to be left to our filthy little imaginations.
Well, there's that, but now we don't even have that to fall
I
back
do.
on. Do you?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you are so inclined to watch us on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, you've been warned.
And you're a glutton for punishment.
Yes, exactly. So, because now there
If
is
you've ever wondered what Greg the Dive Master looks like after hearing him for over 20 years.
Yeah, for years, I just told everybody, just imagine, like Brad Pitt in one of his latest movies.
Rob Lowe.
Yeah. And
A pretty boy.
Benjamin Button.
I don't think that's that's not accurate.
Bubble Boy for the win!
Damn you.
Oh my God!
Okay. So anyway, now they can see for themselves that indeed
Actually,
we
I
have
was going to say,
faces
I'm
for radio.
Greg the Dive Master.
You were Barry. Oh, wait, Casey was going to stand in.
Is this to tell the truth? With a real Greg Dive Master, please stand up.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that you
That's
can
only to
take
the
your
dive
pick.
god.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. All right. Well, look, we got a lot to talk about today.
Okay, everybody shut up. Greg's going to talk.
Yeah, that's true. Because I went diving last week. Right after the show, flew down
You slime.
Yes, I flew down to South Florida to spend some quality time there at the Gomez Hilton, celebrate Mermaid Kristen's birthday, which was Saturday.
Did
last
one of those
Saturday.
guys magnets
What do you mean?
attach
magnet?
itself to the plate in your head?
We didn't do any magnet fishing. I was there with Matt and
smart.
Bryce. We spoke, we hung out, but I wasn't there while they were magnet fishing.
Smart.
What do you mean smart?
I wouldn't want it to attach itself to that plate in your head.
No, there's
Don't you
no
have a plate in your head, or am I thinking of
No.
somebody else?
You're thinking of someone else.
Okay.
That would apply to someone like Bubble Boy or Casey.
This is
maybe.
way off topic, and I apologize, but how do I get my screensaver at home to do what yours is doing over here?
Yeah, you can't. That's a very special thing.
Okay,
that
thanks.
only you can see. I actually produced that just for
If,
CJ in the studio. They can't even see that on YouTube.
If
should
if ever I need some little quick tech tips, I come to Greg and he goes, "You can't."
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
You say, "When can I do this, that?" And I'm like, "Nope."
Well, I'll show you.
No, you won't.
You'll see.
You will not show
Don't tell me I
anything.
can't do something.
Just be quiet, you. All right. So anyway, we went diving, and CJ's distracting me because he wasn't there. He didn't go. You
I
should have
couldn't
went.
make it. I had stuff to do.
Yeah, you had like this thing
Did
called.
you like that? I just self-edited myself.
You did.
I said stuff to do.
I was gonna say you were thinking about a 4-letter word
I was.
like work. That's what you were thinking about, right? That word.
Rhymes with spit.
Huh. Okay.
I had spit to do.
That work doesn't. Doesn't rhyme.
I had spit to do.
You rhyme like a white boy. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, went diving down in South Florida, just south of Commercial Pier, Lauderdale by the Sea, and
You jumped in a canal, right? Did you actually go out in the ocean as well?
No, we did the ocean. We did the just south of Commercial Pier, did Lauderdale by the Sea, and my dive buddy was Dennis, and then we had Matt. Our blind
Matt,
diving.
the Gambian rat?
No, that's
Different
not,
Matt.
That's a different Matt. Matt, the blind diver guy that we've been talking to, who is part of that magnet fishing gang of Bryce and Kyle and everybody that came into the studio a couple weeks ago, had some fun with us. So we went down and went diving with him. Matt is connected with us on YouTube and Facebook and everything. You can see him.
Well, actually, it says he's Christian.
What do you mean he says it's Kristen? Oh, I think maybe him and Kristen are together. Is that right, Matt? Or what's going on? We can see you. He can't see
She
us.
apparently hacked my tablet, so I guess that's the issue right now.
Ah, okay. All right. Well,
he
there we go.
stole her phone.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't know.
I mean, for all I know, he could be gender fluid, and I'm not going to judge one way or another.
Gender fluid.
And
Gender talented.
whatever persona he takes
Or
on. Is
if
fine
he
by me.
sometimes colors his hair red, he could be ginger fluid.
But he wouldn't know, would he?
You got to cut the blind guy some slack. I can't say that. At least I look better than Kristen. Though. So y'all are in for a treat today.
Okay. All right. We'll go with that. I don't even know what that
So
means.
I disagree. I respectfully disagree.
But Matt was one of my dive buddies last week, and it was kind of cool because I was thinking, how is this going to go? He doesn't have the same,
How's he going to follow you when you
senses.
just cruise off?
Well, Kyle acted as like his seeing dive dog. So he grabbed hold of.
you should make Matt the flag guy. That way he's never lost.
Well, that maybe thinking about that, maybe that has been the case.
Give Matt the flag.
But Kyle acted as his seeing dive dog, and they followed behind me and Dennis, and we led the way and took him a little tour around, and you guys had a good time, didn't you, Matt? Yeah.
Yeah. It was a blast. It actually is. It's funny that it was some of the best dive conditions we've ever dove in my entire diving career.
Yeah. Go figure. And it was just a beach dive.
See, we're
in Fort
spoiled. We're
Lauderdale.
used to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
What
don't
did I
go
tell
unless
you?
it's like
It was going
that.
to be nice.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was a little on the cool side. The water temp was around 71, according to Dennis's dive computer.
Speaking of gender fluid.
Which was cooler than I thought it was. I thought it was around 75, but he said his computer came back at 71.
Yikes.
But, we had a 3 mil on.
That's spring diving.
It is, definitely. But the visibility was great. The conditions were awesome. And, visibility was pretty impressive. But I was like, I don't know if, Matt's going to care. But he
I was
did.
going to say, when Matt comes back from a dive and somebody goes, how was the visibility? Does he always just default to it sucked?
Yeah. Do you, Matt? What do you say? What do you think?
I mean, I could see a little bit more than I expected. I mean, usually that black water, I mean, you really can't see nothing, but I could see a little more light. I could actually see your little tickle stick that you had. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I had my equalizer with me. We were looking for lobster, and we didn't see any. Well, actually, we saw one lobster. It was too small. But we did see a stone crab, and I didn't know what to do when I saw it because I didn't know what the season is. I've gotten the update since, but I used my equalizer to kind of, see if I could coax them out. No such
Now, does
luck,
your
but
your Florida saltwater fishing license cover that?
I believe it does, according to what I've read online, but I'm not totally
I bet it does.
sure about that. Barry the Bugger, what do you know? Anything?
No, I was going to ask you, how were the reefs out there?
Well, it was good. I mean, we were just south of Commercial Pier. There's this kind of
You
weird
saw
structure.
that big area?
Yeah, that whole area where they got like the giant holes that look like
Yeah.
have been punched down into the bedrock. So it's a very famous area for a beach dive, and also known, especially among the locals in the area, that if you get there at the beginning of lobster season, like for many season, I mean, they usually, every year for Bugfest, they've been pulling out like a 10-pounder.
Yeah.
You know, and somebody right there at the beach, and we're like in 10 to 15 feet of water, and they pull out a 10-pound lobster. You can see why, because the habitat of that reef right there just south of the pier of Commercial Boulevard is a lobster haven. I mean, those holes create these crevices and stuff where the lobster could hang out and just make themselves at home, and evidently that's what happens.
causes that?
I don't know.
Roseanne Barr?
No, it's kind of like underwater crop circles. I believe it's aliens. I think that's the official word, and we'll find out soon enough. Stay close. More coming up on the world's first radio show devoted to diving.
This is the Worldwide Scuba Radio Network.
Need an escape from reality for a while? Your favorite scuba action star, Mike Scott, is back in an all-new audiobook, Cayman Cowboys: Reefs Under Pressure. From the brilliant mind of author Eric Douglas comes the thriller that started it all. Listen as Mike unravels the death of a girl, the protest of new development, and the systemic destruction of coral reefs, all against the stunning backdrop of Grand Cayman Island. This one's got it all: submarines, kidnapping, betrayal, and more.
He didn't even have fins or a mask to let him see in the water. He was going to be slow and blind. If it weren't for the float, he knew there would be no way he would ever make it to the surface. When he was ready and completely relaxed, he wrapped his arms through the straps of the seat cushion and gently slid into the water.
Dive back into adventure with Cayman Cowboys. Also available, Oil and Water, Return to Cayman, Turks and Chaos, and Lionfish. Download all 5 audiobooks now at Amazon, booksbyeric.com, or audible.com.
Come as a guest, leave as a friend. It's a philosophy that comes from the top down at Explorer Ventures liveaboards. It doesn't matter if you're traveling solo, with a buddy, or group. Explorer Ventures does the liveaboard dive experience right. For proof, know Explorer Ventures has one of the best repeat customer stats in the dive industry. They're also the official liveaboard company of Scuba Radio. You've likely heard us talk about Explorer Ventures Scuba Radio scuba cruise trips many times, and we invite you to join us on the next one. However, whether we're on board with you or not, I'll bet an Explorer Ventures liveaboard trip will be one of the best dive experiences you've ever had. It just doesn't get any better. Saba St. Kitts, Turks and Caicos, the Galapagos, Maldives, Indonesia, humpback whales, and the Silver Banks, new destinations and itineraries are being added all the time. Call one of their talented travel consultants to find the Explorer Ventures liveaboard experience that's just right for you. 1-800-322-3577. That's 1-800-322-3577. Or visit explorerventures.com. That's explorerventures.com.
surface interval is complete. You're now clear to dive with Scuba Radio.
Scuba Radio.
The world's first radio show devoted to diving.
Scuba Radio.
Dive, dive, dive.
I would like to extend to you an invitation to the party.
We're gonna have some fun without a doubt. At the party, Scuba party. Now don't stay behind, don't get left out. At the party, Scuba party. Now the Scuba party is here and it's here to stay. At the party, Scuba party. If you want some fun, that's the only way. At the party, Scuba party. We're gonna dive in and swim all about, move around just like the top. Now at the party, a big party.
That's kind of like last Saturday at the Gomez Hilton. We had a party for Mermaid Kristen. She is with us, connected via the web right now, throwing axes, I believe, because you're at work. Is that right, Kristen? What are you doing?
Yes, I am at work right now, as you guys can see and probably hear.
Yeah.
Shouldn't she be wearing a helmet?
I know, I'm training somebody new. Say hi.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
We don't care.
Aim for the
Oh,
jugular.
No, I'm training
That's
him. They said to aim for the jugular.
Yeah, just trying to help.
Training him how to kill everybody. You know?
Okay. All right. She works at an axe throwing place when she's not mermaiding.
Be nice to her.
Yes. But she is now a more mature mermaid. But she has many, many days to go before
she did not like that.
You got the stink eye on that, Greg.
Yeah.
Wait,
What are you talking about? No, she has days to go before she, succumbs
try to
to
dig
CHAG
yourself out.
syndrome.
You guys, is anyone else as confused as I am as to how in the world Greg has managed to stay married all these years?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
For all the massive wrong moves you make with
What are you
the
talking
females.
about? What? No, I just
calling Kristen mature.
Yeah,
that's a
I don't know
massive
how you
no-no.
get that.
What?
You don't do that.
I
Especially to an axe throwing mermaid.
Hey, I didn't say it to her in person.
I mean, thank
Hello.
God she's out of state. But I mean,
I'm not stupid. I wouldn't say that in person.
No, you might be a little stupid.
No, I'm not even a little.
Little stupid.
No, mature is a nice
no,
compliment.
it's not.
Sounds like manure.
It's no. I mean, she is very worldly.
Also, keep in mind she's way younger than you and probably the youngest.
Yeah,
one
well,
here.
it's the difference between wise. I'm wise,
which you're not.
Yeah. Okay,
in
all
any
right.
shape, way, or form.
All right, we're gonna just move on. We were celebrating her birthday last week.
I'm trying to hip you.
You are not.
Yes,
digging,
I am.
Digging the hole deeper. We're gonna be diving
I
in
help
it before
because
you know
I
it.
care.
But we were hanging last week celebrating her birthday, and then we went diving with Matt, the blind diver. I mean, Matt has a new YouTube slogan. What do you call it? What are you saying on your YouTube thing there, Matt? You actually got like a catchphrase. I'm Matt the something. What was it again? What did you say on YouTube this week? What are you calling yourself, Matt? He doesn't know.
I remember what we were talking.
What? Say it again.
I can't remember.
Quiet. I'm talking to Matt. Go ahead, Matt. What?
Yeah, I'm brain dead now. It's the blind treasure hunter.
The blind treasure hunter.
I remember.
There
I
we go.
liked what we
Good.
were kicking around a couple of weeks ago.
What? Which was what?
Matt, blind as a fruit bat.
No, that's
It's way catchier.
It is a catchy catchphrase, I will say. Now, I don't know. You may want to rethink that, Matt. No, not if you have a brain. But okay.
Says
Matt,
the guy who called a female older.
I didn't. I said mature. Anyway,
synonym.
You go the
Look it
stink
up.
eye again.
Okay, it rhymes with manure. Is that what is your point?
Nope.
Okay.
Totally missed it again.
But the blind treasure hunter, Matt. I think that Matt, the blind treasure hunter, because he
Is that
goes.
like even a blind treasure hunter finds a piece of 8 sometime?
Well, I think you have, haven't you, Matt? Have you ever found Spanish treasure before on all your underwater metal detecting in between shark tooth diving and stuff, or what? Yeah.
No, I have not. It's on my bucket list. I always find something Spanish, but I found Revolutionary War, Civil War, and then a bunch of modern stuff along with fossils and every other thing. But yeah, Spanish is definitely on the bucket list.
Yeah. Well, he has this little handheld metal detector, and him and Bryce, went down. I guess you're on the beaches of Miami, and you're digging up stuff that they'd found on the beach, which was like jewelry and stuff like that. So they found some pretty cool items. I don't know. I'm not sure if they found any bodies yet, but maybe it's on the list. But yeah, you can check out Bryce's YouTube channel too. Outdoors Weekly is what you would search for, and then of course Matt the treasure hunter, the blind treasure hunter. His Modern Goonie is what you would Google and check out some of those videos. All right, so but he had a good time, and what I want to say, I want to kind of get into the mechanics of the dive, and we're going to do that in just a bit because it was pretty unique to have somebody who's blind as your dive buddy. That was a pretty unique experience, and I wasn't sure how that went, but it went really well. We had a great time. We're going to get a little bit more into the mechanics and what I was thinking, especially from a dive leader or dive guide standpoint. But we have Dr. Doug Ebersol with us today as well, and he's like he's a brain surgeon, pretty much. A heart surgeon, brain surgeon, they're kind of hand in hand. You'd take that title too, wouldn't you? Brain surgeon there, Dr. Doug?
You clearly don't want me operating on brains, that's for sure.
Oh, come on. Have you met the rest of the ScubaRadio Scuba Squad? They wouldn't know the difference. You just take the title and run with
surgery, but not my specialty.
Yeah, he focuses on the Greg. Yeah, but Dr. Doug's with us today. I thank you for joining us because I wanted to talk a little bit with him today because there was a story that got published, or like a little teaser article once again, about COVID-19 being an issue for divers. Now, we covered this months ago on the show, and there was this alarmist type story that started circulating out on the internet that if you got COVID, like CJ and myself, that there could potentially be some residual issues with your lungs that could potentially, affect your diving life. And yeah, it was very, it was scary. And I was like, oh my gosh. And Dr. Doug's had it. He's recovered from it and that kind of thing too. So he's been kind of our go-to guy, as well as,
Bikini at Waltz.
Oh, geez. Way to focus, Barry. Way to focus.
No, thank you, Barry.
And so anyway, he is our go-to guy, and as well as Divers Alert Network leans on him for his experience as a doctor and having to deal with COVID himself. And basically, long story short, this story was a little bit alarmist. It wasn't really a big deal. It was kind of squashed at the time, and now it seems to be coming back around. At least some fake news organizations throwing it out there. Is that a safe description of what's happened this week, you think there, Dr. Doug, or not?
Yeah, the publication you mentioned, which will remain nameless because I don't see any reason to give them free advertising.
Yeah.
Had reached out to me just as an email and said, what do you think about another report of the same sort of thing? And I said, basically in the email, that it's the same thing we've known about. 85% or more of people who have COVID will have asymptomatic or mild disease.
But is that how they reported it? Well, we'll tell you next. Stay close.
Scuba Radio. Scuba Radio.
Conventional underwater scooters can be heavy, unwieldy, and underpowered. At just over 8 pounds and with speeds of up to 7 miles per hour, the Scuba Jet Pro dive scooter is a game changer and fits in your dive bag. The Scuba Jet Pro uses an eco-friendly jet engine with impeller technology. With adapters, it can even power paddleboards, canoes, kayaks, and all kinds of water sports equipment. It's the most versatile scooter you'll ever own. Learn more and get the Scuba Jet Pro at ScubaJet.com. That's ScubaJet.com.
Hosting a radio show about scuba diving, flying, and boating is one of the best gigs on the planet. It's actually part of my job to check out and report on cool new products I personally use to enhance my diving, flying, and boating adventures. However, I do believe in sharing the joy, and this is why I wanted to tell you about Nanook Professional Protective Cases. Nanook cases are designed to protect the most sensitive equipment in the harshest environments. From their high-impact NK7 resin to their exclusive Power Claw latches, Nanook Nanook has raised the bar for those of you that demand the best protection for your gear. Plus, Nanook cases generally cost less than similar products currently on the market. From an iPhone to a full set of dive gear, whatever you need to shield from the elements, Nanook Professional Protective Cases has the size, shape, and color for you. Go to nanook.com. That's NANUK.com for Nanook Professional Protective Cases. The evolution of protection.
Hey, baby, what's going down?
Later, nerd.
Are you lacking with the ladies?
Nope.
Enhance your scuba superpowers with a new ScubaRadio hat.
Wow, nice hat.
Just picked it up at ScubaRadio.com.
Buy 2 ScubaRadio hats and get free shipping.
Need a dive buddy, sexy?
Always. And I got a Scuba Radio hat for you, too.
New ScubaRadio hats are now available at ScubaRadio.com.
So cool.
Order yours today, or stay a loser.
Let me tell you about a friend I know. He's got the world's first scuba diving radio show. So now everywhere I am, and everywhere I go, the first thing that I tune to is Scuba Radio.
This is the world's first radio show devoted to diving. I am Greg the Dive Master, CJ, in the studio with me, Dr. Doug Ebersol, connected along with the rest of the Scuba Radio Scuba Squad. And so this, this quote-unquote unbiased dive magazine reached out to Dr. Doug this week and asked him what he thought about COVID creating a problem for divers. We've covered this before, and they seem to have an agenda, Dr. Doug. Is that fair to say? When they reached out to you, could you tell at that point when they did this, or no?
Yeah, pretty much. They'd had that article, not an article, but report from University of Innsbruck in Austria back in April or May, something like that. And I'd made some comments about that. How I thought it was a very small, group of people, and you couldn't make any long-term kind of judgments on it. Right. And actually, the UHMS had to actually come out and say the same sort of thing, just to kind of keep people from being scared to death. And then I got this email earlier in the week from the owner publisher that basically said it was a link to a CBS News article where a trauma surgeon basically said they'd seen some X-rays that looked worse than some smokers they'd seen, and that just kind of hit the news. So, bottom line, like I was saying, we've known this for a long time. Probably 85% of people who have COVID have mild disease or no disease, no symptoms. Of the 15% who have more moderate or severe disease, yes, some of them end up hospitalized, some of them end up on ventilators, some of them unfortunately pass away. That's a very small number. In like any pneumonia, you're going to have some lung involvement. That's not uncommon at all.
Right. But just like if you had the flu and, some people react really poorly or have some issue that affects them worse than others. And,
right. And some people have, long, short-term effects that get better within a few weeks or a few months, and some people have long-term effects. So,
right.
Are there going to be divers who are affected? Sure, I'm sure there probably are. It's a very, very, very small number.
Right.
But it's not something I'd spend any time worrying about.
Yeah, exactly. And they were trying to stir up the, that 4-letter word that CJ was holding back from before. More coming up.
This is the Worldwide Scuba Radio Network.
Hi, this is Mermaid Cat.
What are you doing here?
You can check me out at mermaidcat.com.
Holy moly!
In the meantime, keep listening to Scuba Radio, the world's first radio show devoted to diving.
That's some language you got there.
Now here's a guy. If he was a merman...
But why would you even say that?
I might let him penetrate the mucous membrane of my mermaid tail.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Greg, the dive master.
Yes, master.
Now get away from me, you sick bastard.
You are one sick bastard, you know that? But I like your style.
Well, thanks. I am Greg the Dive Master. This is the world's first radio show devoted to diving. Yeah, Mermaid Cat met her at the boot show in Germany, which, by the way, was officially canceled this week. for 2021. So the Germany Dive Boot Show won't happen until next year, which really blows.
And to translate, that means boat show, correct?
Okay.
Going on here?
Hey,
Boot.
who keeps talking? Who's talking to themselves? Stop it.
I think Vinny.
Is Vinny talking to himself? Is that what's going on, squad?
The voices are real to him, Greg.
Yeah. Somebody's talking to themselves and is distracting. I'm hearing voices.
Dadgummit.
Stop it. All right. So anyway, Dr. Doug with us, Dr. Doug Ebersol. And, you know, the one thing I want to get across about this story, and I hate even bringing it up, and he's right, like, you know, why I don't want to promote them because they're obviously just trying to stir up stir up everything. And
everybody panic.
Yeah.
Everybody be scared.
Right.
Do what we say.
Yeah. No, the thing is that this story was dealt with months ago. And of course, there's a potential of you getting COVID and it affecting your diving career. But that whole thing about it, divers got to freak out and that it's like it's a real serious problem has not borne out to be the fact at all. And it's already been dealt with.
The article they were quoting came out of CBS News, and it was kind of an isolated thing of some lung disease. And the actual purpose of the article, if you read the article, was to try and promote people to take the vaccine, because it was saying that the vaccine was not going to be as bad as what could potentially happen if you get a bad case.
Got it.
But then the article that we're discussing, that's not exactly how they reported it. This author of this
rag,
whatever you want to call it, misquoted saying that every patient who has suffered COVID-19 shows severe problems on a chest X-ray. That's not even close to true.
Yeah.
And that even those who are asymptomatic show severe chest problems most of the time. There are some people that whenever you have pneumonia, your X-rays can look terrible, and they can definitely lag. We've known that forever.
Mm-hmm.
That chest X-rays look worse than you do clinically. And that's why for pneumonia and stuff, we actually get like 6-week follow-up X-rays because we know it can take that long for them to clear.
Right.
So that's nothing new. So I wouldn't have divers getting any more concerned about this than they were 8 or 9 months ago.
Right. And I understand, it looks to me that they were coming at this from the standpoint like, hey, controversy is compelling. Let's stir up the crap. We'll get all these hits on our website. But that's at the expense of the dive industry. I mean, listen, look at it from the industry standpoint. The industry is being killed right now by COVID because we can't travel. We can't go dive around the world right now. It's so frustrating. We were able to get this dive done down at Lauderdale by the Sea last Sunday, and I had a great time. But, I've been trying to set up a trip out to Mexico, and now, we'll get into this a little bit later on because the U.S. has now put in new guidelines for coming back to the U.S., which were not in effect last week. And I'm telling you, the dive operators around the world right now are freaking out. And to have this story come out in the middle of that is very aggravating to me because I'm like, look, we got enough bad news. I understand you want to increase traffic on your website and all this kind of stuff for your rag or whatever, and you have a right to do that. But why don't you step back for a second and think about all the people you're potentially hurting and scaring?
They don't care.
Evidently they don't, but they should. If they expect to be a member of the dive industry, I think that's extremely irresponsible. Okay, I don't think it's right. It sure is not any kind of, effort to expose the truth, which is what they try to thinly veil themselves in sometimes when they put out these stories. They try to act like they're some kind of investigative journalists or something. It's nonsense. It is absolute nonsense. And do I sound a little aggravated, CJ?
Yeah, but you know what? I haven't seen anything resembling the truth in a long time.
Well, maybe. But, we got to deal with this, in the mainstream media all the time. When it happens from somebody who's actually part of the industry, that is extremely, it's just unfortunate. And it's sad as far as I'm concerned. Barry the Bugger, what say you?
I just had one question. If you're a diver and you have had COVID, is there any test or anything that they may want to do just to help clear their mind that there may be an issue before they go underwater?
Yeah, actually, to be honest with you, I can't give you a lot of details at the moment, but I'm in the process of writing a paper with a PhD and 4 other physicians just to try and put all this into perspective. But the bottom line, I think the easy thing before those official things come out would be if you're, like I mentioned months ago, if you had a mild case or just had a positive test and had no symptoms, wait a few weeks or a month just to make sure your body's recovered, and then make sure you're back to your normal level of exercise, that you can do your normal level of exercise that you were doing before you got sick or were positive, and you can probably return to diving with no restrictions whatsoever.
Right. Okay. Isn't a lot of that common sense, Dr. Doug?
Yeah.
Just like from anything, if you had a cold, if you had the flu, you wouldn't want to get back to diving, if you were still hacking up goo.
If you had a monkey heart.
Yeah.
And I mean, and just to go a little bit farther than that, I mean, if you want, the one thing you could do if you want to get a chest X-ray, that's a fairly easy test. That's fairly inexpensive. And if that was normal, that'd be even more.
Just something to settle anything that
right.
If
in the background.
Right. If you were really sick, I mean, people that got hospitalized, that's a whole different ballgame.
Right.
Those people probably should be evaluated by somebody knowledgeable in medicine, diving medicine, before going back to the water. So that may require a chest X-ray. In small cases, it may require a CAT scan of the chest if there's concerns about the lungs. We know there can be cardiac issues. So depending on what your symptoms were when you were hospitalized, if you were that sick enough to be hospitalized, those people may get some form of exercise testing or may an echocardiogram, ultrasound of the heart, all those kind of things beforehand. So it's not a cookie cutter kind of approach.
Okay.
It's a case by case thing. So discuss with your doctor, but the more severe your symptoms, obviously the more workup and more evaluation you may need. The lesser your symptoms are just a positive test. Give yourself a month. If your exercise tolerance is good, I don't see a reason not to get back in the water.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, like I said, a lot of this is common sense. I mean, of course, if you had to be admitted to the hospital because you had a bad case of COVID, that's a whole totally different animal than somebody who got tested positive, like CJ, myself, and even Dr. Doug, for that matter, who dealt with it for a couple of days, felt like the flu, and then recovered. I mean, it was not any different than having the flu for us. Now, that is how most people are dealing with COVID. The overwhelming numbers are people like that. But, of course, if it's more serious and you had to go to the hospital, be put on a ventilator, get oxygen, all that kind of stuff, of course you're going to do a lot more follow-up and things like that. Bubble Boy, what say you?
I had a question. Would it be appropriate for somebody to get a mammogram?
A mammogram, which is it's
a mammogram for mermaids.
Right. Now, you don't need COVID to do that. You just have to ask them and see, and they either smack you or they say, okay. And
take the hit.
Yeah.
I thought that was when you feel them for lumps.
Okay. All right. Let's just leave that one lie. Kristen's not with us anymore, so they're getting away with these kind of comments.
Get away with it now.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you one little thing. Just there. If you have a loud enough murmur, that you can feel it on the chest, that's called a thrill. But if you have a female patient and you're palpating their chest and tell them you're feeling for thrills, that doesn't go over so well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That sounds like a joke to me.
That's a true story.
I'm gonna have to use that move.
Wow, that's good.
See if the wife likes that one. Just look.
You'll be sleeping outside again.
Okay. Anyway, we appreciate the update, Dr. Doug, and sorry that you have to deal with these kind of nutty, quote unquote journalists that are trying to stir up the stuff.
Yeah, like I said, I had a very short, blunt reply to the email, and somehow that got published. Like that's my expert opinion agreeing with them. So I think from now on, if I hear from that particular person,
no comment.
I may just put no comment.
I don't talk to fake news.
Yeah.
Or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it was a joke. They obviously had an agenda, so they'll do what they got to do, I guess. But it's sad. Like I said, we're dealing with so much negativity now. It's hard to be positive if you have a business in the dive industry, let alone any other business affected by COVID. But obviously, the dive industry being hit really hard on the travel sector, and U.S. didn't help that this week with some new restrictions for coming back to the country. We're going to talk about that next and how it could affect your dive travel. It's a very fluid situation, pun intended, here being we are Scuba Radio. But we're going to get into that next right here on the world's first radio show devoted to diving.
Scuba Radio. Would you like to talk diving? Greg the Dive Master's all toweled down and ready to take your call now. Call Scuba Radio at 1-888-88-SCUBA.
Come as a guest, leave as a friend. It's a philosophy that comes from the top down at Explorer Ventures liveaboards. It doesn't matter if you're traveling solo, with a buddy, or group. Explorer Ventures does the liveaboard dive experience right. For proof, know Explorer Ventures has one of the best repeat customer stats in the dive industry. They're also the official liveaboard company of Scuba Radio. You've likely heard us talk about Explorer Ventures Scuba Radio scuba cruise trips many times, and we invite you to join us on the next one. However, whether we're on board with you or not, I'll bet an Explorer Ventures liveaboard trip will be one of the best dive experiences you've ever had. It just doesn't get any better. Saba St. Kitts, Turks and Caicos, the Galapagos, Maldives, Indonesia, humpback whales, and the Silver Banks, new destinations and itineraries are being added all the time. Call one of their talented travel consultants to find the Explorer Ventures liveaboard experience that's just right for you. 1-800-322-3577. That's 1-800-322-3577. Or visit explorerventures.com. That's explorerventures.com.
Power, simplicity, reliability. It's what you demand of your dive computer. And Shearwater delivers. Shearwater evolved out of one tech diver's need for a reliable, easy-to-use rebreather dive computer and quickly became the tech market leader. Now recreational divers have taken notice. The Shearwater Peregrine is a simple, full-color, multi-gas dive computer. It's also the most economical Shearwater dive computer released to date. Check it out and the entire line at shearwater.com. Shearwater. Dive computers for demanding divers.
Do you have a message or a product that you'd like to share with the diving world? Well, look no further than Scuba Radio. Just like you, thousands of diving enthusiasts are hearing this message, and we could be talking about you and your product or service as early as next Saturday. Remember, a terrible thing happens when you don't advertise. Nothing. Go to ScubaRadio.com, send us an email, and let's get to work to make your marketing message matter.
Prepare to rig for dive! Your surface interval is complete. You're now clear to dive with Scuba Radio.
Scuba Radio.
The world's first radio show devoted to diving.
Scuba Radio.
Dive, dive, dive.
Hi, I'm Manny. I'm your dive master lead in Aquacat, and you hear Scuba Radio.
Yeah, wait, you're the lead dive master on the Aquacat? What are you?
Yes, sir. I'm the lead dive master.
Okay, do it again. One more time.
You kidding?
No.
Okay, guys. I'm Manny. I'm your dive master lead in Aquacat, and you hear Scuba Radio.
The world's first radio show devoted to diving.
The what? Okay. Hi, guys. I'm Manny. I'm a dive instructor in Aquacat, and you're listening to Scuba Radio.
The world's first radio show devoted to
The world's first radio show
devoted to dive.
devoted to dive. You kidding or what? You did the translation.
Translate, Drew.
This is the world's first radio show devoted to diving.
All
I can do it slow.
Okay, do it slow. Yeah, do slow.
The world's first
Radio
radio show devoted to diving. Devoted. You know what, guys?
to diving.
For the Spanish speakers, la mejor radio estación de radio devota de lo que es el buceo.
I couldn't have said it better myself. This is the world's first radio show devoted to diving. And, but we appreciate the assistance, especially for our Spanish-speaking friends. Yeah. You like that?
That was more of like a Scarface Cuban accent.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's the best I got. All right, look, we have the Scuba Radio Scuba Squad connected via the web today. That includes Barry the Bugger, Casey the Tobacco Nut, Bubble Boy, Camel DiMartini with his new webcam at the Gomez Hilton, Dr. Doug Ebersol, Jerry the Diver Guy, Vinny Two Tanks, and Matt the Blind Treasure Hunter is back with us too. Yeah, so we got a full crew connected via the web on top of having CJ in the studio with me. So, and CJ, myself, Matt, let's see, Dr. Doug, even Barry the Bugger are all COVID survivors, by the way. So COVID has kind of made its rounds through our crew. And luckily, all of us have been fairly safe. Captain Wall got his vaccine this week, actually. So,
Nice.
He's on his way to getting over this and being able to travel. But the new rules that were released this week, which is kind of nutty if you ask me, because, here we are, they're rolling out the vaccine. People are trying to get it. And all of a sudden, this rule comes out that they're going to, I think it goes into effect next week, where they're saying that now you have to have a negative COVID test to come back to the U.S. When you've traveled outside the country. And that was not the case before. Now, like, say if you want to go to the Bahamas already had a rule where you had to have a negative test before you go to the Bahamas. And if you stay there for more than 5 nights, you have to get another test and show that you're negative if you want to stay any longer than that. So they've kind of had their protocols in place, and that seems to have been working for as far as I know. But now, out of the blue, the U.S. has put in this new order, or they put out, came from the new administration, I guess, and said that you now have to have a negative test before you can board the plane to get back, to come back to the U.S. if you're traveling abroad. And obviously that's a problem for people on a couple levels. One being that, okay, first of all, if you travel there, most of the islands have a thing where you have to show that you're negative before you even come to the island. So if you're coming back, chances are, unless you picked it up there, I understand the concern, but you're kind of getting hit on both sides now. And now all of a sudden, when things are supposedly getting better with the vaccine and everything, now we have more restrictions. What the heck? This is becoming very difficult, obviously, for the dive operators and the places that are trying to kind of set up these protocols to make things safe enough for divers feeling good enough to go, say, spend a few days out on an island and that kind of thing, or down in Mexico, for instance.
I have a question.
Yes, CJ.
What happens if you got the vaccine and then I guess you get a little card or something? Then can you travel? Are you good then?
That is part of the fluid situation. They're not really, they don't know yet. And the problem with it on top of that, so that's one aspect. But the other aspect is that, say, if, for instance, you go down to Mexico, all right, a lot of the resorts are offering up, like the one you went to Cancun a few weeks ago, they are giving their people tests to take right before they head back home. And if, God forbid, you test positive, they are telling their guests that, look, we'll put you up for a couple weeks for you to deal with the quarantine that you have to maintain before you're cleared and able to go back to the States. So they're trying to work around that. That's obviously could become quite an expensive endeavor for them to do. And I would imagine they're hoping that would be, there wouldn't be that many people doing it.
To me, that shows some confidence.
Yeah.
That you're not going to pick
But
it up
here's
there.
one of the other caveats that has been presented to me that they don't know what to do with as well. Is like, say, if you travel to Mexico, Bahamas, wherever, some island in the Caribbean, you get your negative test, and then you come back to the States. If you connect, say you're flying back into Miami, there's issues of, are you allowed to fly or get on your connecting flight back to, say, Denver or some other place in the States? Because they're saying once you come back from a place, you have to voluntarily quarantine for 7 days. So there's some real ambiguity in the new rule. Yeah, it's like, what? How, exactly? And plus, it's not even enforced. It's like, a voluntary kind of thing.
What the hell is this, Russia?
Well, it's confusing. And, the confusion, just that alone, I think, kind of puts a little damper on divers wanting to go to these places because they think, I don't want to deal with all this headache. And who suffers? Well, the dive operators do, right?
Yep.
So it's a big mess right now. When you think it was getting better, maybe it's getting worse. I don't know. We're trying to navigate this like everybody else, and we'll kind of stay on top of it as much as we can. All right, look, we got hour 2 on deck. Stay close to the world's first radio show devoted to diving.
You're on Scuba Radio. Let's go! Scuba Radio.
Scuba Radio is a production of Overboard Entertainment Incorporated.
Scuba Radio.
This seems the logical place for fish to congregate.
Remember, you can listen live or to archives of past editions of Scuba Radio worldwide over the internet at ScubaRadio.com.
So we're in international waters? Indeed so.
Tell a friend and buddy up with your radio every week for Scuba Radio, the world's first radio show devoted to diving.
Well, it's all very nice here, but we should be going. I miss me wife and me oxygen.
Yes, we all miss our loved ones and gases. Let's go.
The opinions you just heard on Scuba Radio are those of the hosts, callers, and guests.
Okay, what I just heard? Blah, 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 blah.
They are not necessarily those of any station or network, its management, or advertisers.
Come on, quit yanking me.
Scuba diving does involve risk and should never be conducted without proper instruction and training.
Oh, what's the worst thing that could happen?
I could die.
Have any questions or comments? Feel free to do so via the web at ScubaRadio.com.
Oh, hello there. Don't be alarmed. We're just preparing your listening device for Scuba Radio, the world's first radio show devoted to diving. We do this, of course, by filling the radio with water. Don't worry, we're professionals. Thanks to me, you won't even get wet. You see, I've crammed every appendage of my body into the cracks and crevices of your radio, ensuring an airtight seal. By the way, don't touch your on-off knob. That's a very sensitive area. Anyway, I should remind you, we believe in the buddy system just like diving, so don't listen alone. Call your buddy and tell them that Scuba Radio is about to begin.
We're gonna start a new life under the sea.
So, am I gonna drown?
Of course not. Just stay calm and let the gentle currents relax your every muscle.
Under the sea. Under the sea.
Did it just get warmer?
There'll be no accusations, just friendly crustaceans under the sea.
Where the hell are the sharks?
And now, here's your dive guide for Scuba Radio, Greg the Dive Master.
And welcome to Hour 2 of the world's first radio show devoted to diving. I am Greg the Dive Master. CJ's in the studio with me, as you can plainly see from our Facebook Live and YouTube, Twitch. I don't know. What is the other ones?
Facebook.
Didn't I say that? Facebook Live?
I wasn't paying attention.
Okay. Way to focus.
I mean, when you go into your standard rap, I glaze over. I go, till I hear something interesting, then I perk up.
Stone crabs.
Ooh.
See? It works. That was the reaction I had when I was diving with Matt, the blind treasure diver, last week just south of the commercial pier in Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, we're cruising along, and we didn't see any lobster, and we had great habitat for it, and that's what I had my eyes peeled for. But we had, I look all over under this, I don't know, it was like maybe a log or something. And I was like, hey, I think that's a stone crab.
That was no log.
It was a jumbo stone crab is what it was. And I don't believe I have ever seen a Florida stone crab underwater while I was on a dive like this.
How big was it?
It was big. It was a jumbo. The claws on a Florida stone crab, when you go to the market, they got medium, large, and jumbo. Those are the sizes.
Oh, you're thinking of eggs.
No, I am not. I'm thinking of the claws of the Florida stone crab.
Because they have those too.
You can't take the claw of a Florida stone crab that has eggs, by the way. I did look that up. But while I saw this stone crab, I wasn't absolutely positive. I went up to it and I had my equalizer lobster snare. And I was like, okay, look, it's the equalizer. Does it work on Florida stone crab too? And so I stuck my little looper right up to his pinchers because I could sacrifice my looper more than I could my fingers.
Sure.
And sure enough, he grabbed onto it, and I said, hey, come on out here, little stone crab, or big jumbo-sized stone crab. And he said, no, I don't think so.
What color was he?
He's they're white with black tips on the end of their claws. I don't know, Dr. Doug, have you ever seen stone crab underwater? Has that been a thing you've ever done? You're not a big hunter like that, are you? Or are you?
In high school, we used to catch stone crabs all the time, and actually,
really?
I had a professional crabbing license for mainly blue crabs. We caught some stone crabs back in college and stuff. That's how I made money in the summer.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we used to dive for them under the Skyway Bridge.
Okay, yeah. They just like to create a little hole for themselves, or like a little ledge. Like I said, this one was stuffed up under a log or something in about 12 feet of water.
Their claws are quite powerful, I might add.
Yes, you don't want to be.
You do not want to be pinched by one.
You do not. That's what I've read, and yeah.
I mean, if you like your fingers.
Exactly. I was with Dennis and Matt. I was tempted to say, "Hey, Matt, put your hand over here. Feel this." And then I was like, yeah. I was like, well, that wouldn't be a good dive with Matt, the blind treasure hunter.
Be blind with one less finger?
Maybe. They can put a hurting on you.
Greg.
Yeah. By the way, I read
Feeling
that.
my senses over there.
Yeah, Matt, it's just what we do. Exactly. It would heighten his senses.
You're a newbie, Matt.
Yeah.
You're the guinea pig.
Exactly. But look, supposedly, if they do grab you, you want to wear pretty heavy gloves if you're diving for stone crabs, because you got to reach behind them and grab them by the butt. And obviously avoid the claws. But if they do get you, and they said if you do this enough, eventually you're gonna get pinched at some point. You don't want to pull away. You want to take the pain like a man. Well, or woman, if you want
Still
to.
talking about crabs, right, Craig?
Yeah, quiet. And if you just stay there and don't move, they'll release. If you try to pull away, they'll just clamp down harder.
Can we test that with you?
No, we're gonna test that with Barry the Bugger. We're gonna.
No, I was just asking.
We're gonna take one of his.
I did get one once.
Just pick the appendage you don't use and stick it in
I-
front of a stone crab, and let's see what happens, Barry. Come on.
No. I held it down with a tickle stick, and I took my knife and kind of knocked off his claw, and took the claw with me. Left the crab there.
Really? I don't think that's the way you're supposed
brutal.
to do it.
You're chicken.
I don't think
It's
that's
better than taking it out of the water and ripping off its claw.
No, I don't think that's true either. That's how they do it. They usually catch them in crabs.
Well, that's
you
how
know
they
that,
do
or
it because they're in
traps.
crab traps.
Yeah.
And they take them out of the trap. They rip off a claw. They toss them back
Yeah,
in
but
the
there's
water.
a technique that you use to take them off. There is a
I
whole
was
thing.
not getting close to that claw. I just took my knife, put it behind
Barry
the little
is a
knuckle and went-
weenie. Barry is a weenie.
It
Barry
worked.
is a weenie.
Everybody
Barry is a weenie. Barry is a weenie.
Okay. Enemy.
Barry is a spleen.
Radio gold.
Terry wears a
sometimes
beanie.
the magic just happens. But
Let me know
anyway.
when that happens.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
only going to hurt for a minute, Barry.
Right.
Well, so far,
Then
none
it
of
might
you
be
guys
sore
have
for a
done
day
it.
or two.
Yeah, well.
Right.
Anyway, I wasn't about to take the chance. Not really because I was worried about
Weenie.
getting pinched by the stone crab. I wasn't aware of what the actual rules were. I thought
Oh, you
the
were
season
really
was
concerned
open,
about
but I wasn't. I had to
FWC.
look it up, and I guess it opened up at the end of October for Florida stone crab. So it is open
And
through
it goes
May.
to May, Greg.
Yeah,
It goes
yeah.
all the way to Mother's Day, so
Right.
you can still go out there, Mr. Tough Man.
But there is a technique that you grab the stone crab, and actually you can legally take both claws, even though it's frowned upon from a like an environmental standpoint. But there's no legal reason why you can't take both claws if you want.
Do they grow back, or are they just going to be?
Yeah, they do.
Clawless,
And that's the
poor
thing.
things.
What they say is like you take the bigger claw, you'll leave the other one so it still has a claw to protect itself, and then it grows back, and it's a
They actually-
sustainable thing. Yeah,
They actually do it when they molt. When they
they
molt.
molt. Yeah, there you
Two
go.
or three times
Have
a
you ever
year.
caught one, Jerry? Have you ever
Yes,
done
I
that?
have.
You have
I
done stone crab?
I have caught stone crab, and I've caught blue crab.
Really? So when did you catch Florida stone crab?
I've actually caught them in the Keys.
Yeah, really.
You
So
come up
that
behind 'em.
surprises me.
If
So you-
they're out of the hole.
Yeah.
You can come up behind them.
Uh-huh.
I actually covered the hole up, come up behind them, and put my hand down on top of them.
Okay, so you kind of squished them so he couldn't get
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, and then I
that
pick them
kinda-
up.
And then you pick them up. Did you take the claw off? You take it off right there, or you just
No.
what? Take it
No,
up to the
was-
surface.
This was in summer, so no.
What
there
does
was
summer
no-
have to do
Did you
with
eat
it?
that son bitch?
It wasn't
It
the
was out of
season.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, you're not
And
supposed to do that, right?
Then I've done blue crabs the same way.
Oh, I thought you eat
Come
the
up
whole blue
behind 'em
crab.
and just push them down, and
Yeah, and then you just take the whole thing though on a blue crab, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, in Louisiana they just take the blue crab, throw it in a big,
that's how
vat
they
of
do it here.
vat
But
of
they got
batter.
longer,
batter
they got
and-
longer, skinnier pincers, right?
Yeah.
yeah, but they fry the whole thing, pinchers and all.
I've been pinched by blue crabs. They hurt.
Huh. Okay. Well, now we know.
Yeah, I've had my fair share of blue crabs as well.
Yeah, and that you're talking about to eat them, right, Matt? I assume. I'm just saying.
Oh no, you crawl on the bottom long enough in black water, you'll eventually grab a couple of them. They'll grab you back.
Oh, isn't that what you saw in the canal there in front of the Gomez Hilton? Were those blue crabs you guys encountered last week, or do you know?
Yes, they were massive blue crabs.
Yeah, that's it. Supposedly that they
Massive
had
blue
those.
crabs.
And how did you know they were blue? You're blind, Matt.
Well, I was going off of what Bryce was screaming.
Okay, all right.
These were brown crabs.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, he had Bryce with him, so Bryce pointed that part out, I guess. But yeah, they dove right there at the Gomez Hilton, right off in the waterway, and I tell you what, that's adventurous. I think I'd be more afraid to do that than I would be to put an appendage in front of a Florida stone crab, jumbo size, because the water there is, well, just the people that have been there and have used the canal in various ways.
It's a good exfoliator.
Yeah, you know, it's there's a lot of activity there. Yeah.
Are you saying it's a frequent hot spot for guests at the Gomez Hilton?
Well, yeah, the Scuba Radio's Drunken Santa, I know, has been seen there many a time, relieving himself or projecting some kind of bodily fluid off the edge of the dock. And
there's really nice water fountains out there as well.
Okay, if you want to say it's water, I don't know. It was some form of liquid for sure, but not something that I would necessarily want to dive in myself. But look, they lived, so they've kind of set the bar. They survived it, so that says something that it is doable, and you lived through it. We'll talk about what they found besides the blue crabs next. Stay close.
This is the Worldwide Scuba Radio Network.
Be an explorer in the other 2/3 of your world. Be the buddy who takes the kids in the aquarium instead of just to it. Be adventurous. Be amazed. Be a diver.
Come as a guest, leave as a friend. It's a philosophy that comes from the top down at Explorer Ventures liveaboards. It doesn't matter if you're traveling solo, with a buddy, or group. Explorer Ventures does the liveaboard dive experience right. For proof, no, Explorer Ventures has one of the best repeat customer stats in the dive industry. They're also the official liveaboard company of Scuba Radio. You've likely heard us talk about Explorer Ventures Scuba Radio scuba cruise trips many times, and we invite you to join us on the next one. However, whether we're on board with you or not, I'll bet an Explorer Ventures liveaboard trip will be one of the best dive experiences you've ever had. It just doesn't get any better. Saba St. Kitts, Turks and Caicos, the Galapagos, Maldives, Indonesia, humpback whales, and the Silver Banks, new destinations and itineraries are being added all the time. Call one of their talented travel consultants to find the Explorer Ventures liveaboard experience that's just right for you. 1-800-322-3577. That's 1-800-322-3577. Or visit explorerventures.com. That's explorerventures.com.
Power, simplicity, reliability. It's what you demand of your dive computer, and Shearwater delivers. Shearwater evolved out of one tech diver's need for a reliable, easy-to-use rebreather dive computer and quickly became the tech market leader. Now recreational divers have taken notice. The Shearwater Taric is the best, most intuitive, and reliable wristwatch-sized dive computer on the market. Check it out in the entire line at shearwater.com. Shearwater, dive computers for demanding divers.
surface interval is complete. You're now clear to dive with Scuba Radio.
Scuba Radio.
The world's first radio show devoted to diving.
Scuba Radio.
Dive, dive, dive.
All right, everyone. Step lively. Look sharp. It's almost showtime. I'll give you a final room tone check, please, and take your marks.
We'd like to ask now that all passengers please hold your breath as we take you through an underwater hip-hop extravaganza.
This is the world's first radio show devoted to diving. I am Greg the Dive Master. CJ is in the studio with me. We have the Scuba Radio Scuba Squad connected via the web. That includes Barry the Bugger, Casey the Tobacco Nut.
Damn glad to be here.
All right, Casey. Thank you.
Whoa. Settle down.
Bubble Boy. We got Captain Walty Martini at the Gomez Hilton with his new webcam. Dr. Doug Ebersol, Jerry the Diver Guy, Casey the Tobacco Nut. Matt.
Damn glad to be here.
Matt the Blind Treasure Hunter with us too. You
Good
can't.
seeing you guys.
He's not letting us. He can't see us, so he's not letting us see him on Facebook Live or YouTube today.
No, you didn't hear that, Greg.
What's that? What'd he say? What?
He said he's glad to see you.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know.
I said it's good seeing you.
Yes. See, he has a good sense
Greg,
of humor. Yeah, I love it. Yes.
One of the
CJ.
best, one of your best attributes, if you're going to be a good interviewer, is
I have one?
is to be a good listener.
Wrong. Anyway, did you say something? The Gomez Hilton has a new webcam set up so we can actually see the canal, the docks of the Gomez Hilton. That's where Matt, the blind treasure diver, and his buddy Bryce.
And you know what? He had the camera aimed right at the ceiling of the tiki hut,
Yeah.
which is exactly what it looks like just before you black out.
What? That's the last thing you see. Good point. That is a good point. So,
That's true.
Walt is trying to
I have
bring
to agree with that, Greg.
bring our
I've been
viewers,
there,
our
done
Scuba
that
Radio
many times.
viewers, into what it's like to stay at the Gomez
If
Hilton.
you're not careful with the rum punch.
Yeah, but it's right on a canal in South Florida. It's a prime real estate, but it is a very active canal.
It's a hottie magnet, Greg.
There definitely are quite a few guests that cruise by, and then there's the occasional drunk that may fall in. And Matt and Bryce were diving this last week before we went up to Commercial Pier and did that ocean dive, which they loved the conditions. Now, Matt said that the dive that we did south of Commercial Pier was the best diving they had ever done. And that was directly after diving the canal of the Gomez Hilton. So how did that rate, Matt? You got to tell us about how that was compared to it. What do you think?
Yeah. So the Gomez resort, the diving conditions were still much better than we're usually diving in.
Yeah.
Now comparison to the trip that we went on, I would say it falls in the second and the most clear. It's probably cleanest water we've ever dove in, honestly.
Wow.
You poor bastards.
Yeah, exactly. The bar is so low for Matt and Bryce when it comes to diving.
Wait.
Yes, Jerry.
So they're rating the canal in Fort Lauderdale,
Yeah.
Sewer Central,
Right.
as the second second best dive of their whole diving career.
Yeah, you're getting it.
Yeah. That's it. Pretty much what he said.
Dear
You
God.
need to take him down to the Keys next.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
Well, I was wondering what they might pull up there from the canal. I thought maybe they would find some because they got that metal detector thing and they had their magnets. You guys dragged that thing around, but
One of Walt's old Chevy 454 big block engines
No, I don't think.
from his boat.
Well, that fell out of his boat.
Yeah, there were some things they zeroed in on. They say, we better leave this alone. But we won't even go there. But as far as the other things,
let's go there, Greg.
you found some interesting things, though, Matt, that you kind of want to go back and look at a little closer. Is that the case? That you're saving for another day? Is that right?
Yeah, we're actually going back down in a week and a half. Spend another week down there in Fort Lauderdale, and
Right.
the stuff we had a good trip. I mean, the stuff that we were finding. But yes, there are some promising items in that water, and you guys are going to just tune in to find out what we find. But we will find them, I promise you.
Well, there you go.
There
What do
may be a warrant out for your arrest, so be careful.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
they'll go
probably.
incognito for sure. Cam Walt DiMartini, what say you? What do you think there, Walt?
I'd like some more information on the boot that they found.
Yeah, they found a
with
boot.
with a foot in it.
Oh, no, there was no foot in it. There was
Paul,
just,
I
it was
told you don't
just
say
a,
nothing, man. You're
that
gonna
was-
get us in trouble, man.
The tail gets long, grows taller down the line.
well, you know,
I thought
that,
it was a drunken sailor foot.
I think it could have been from his Santa setup, because last time I saw him, he was missing a black boot.
Was it Christmas or was it after that?
Yeah, it was right around then. Yeah,
Trying to
it was their
remember.
season.
But they
yeah.
want viral, Greg. They want viral videos. How viral would a boot with a foot in it?
My guess, there's a lot of virus floating around in that boot.
I think it'd go
there's
viral.
a whole lot
if
of
you
virus
drank
floating
out
around
of
in
it.
it.
Okay,
That's right.
stop it. You guys all talk at once. It's ridiculous.
There's
all
a
right.
whole lot of virus floating around in that canal.
Well, and that would
Thanks,
include
Barry.
the boot. Yeah, that was
But look,
actually Jerry.
the
I know.
cure to
I
all
didn't
the
say
virus
that.
Okay.
is drinking the holy grail of Walt's.
Yeah. You're supposed to drink something out of the boot. That's tradition. So
Bailey's.
Yep, I
Rum
think
punch.
so. Rum punch for the Gomez Hilton. Bailey's on other occasions. That's
Only
more.
from a shoe.
Yes. All right.
Try drinking it out of a flip flop,
we-
though. It's very difficult.
For the entire show, we haven't heard anything from Vinny Two Tank. So, Vinny, what do you got to add? Anything? Can you say anything to us and add something?
How you doing?
Okay.
Fine, thank you. And yourself?
It's lovely. Trying to get a COVID shot.
Trying to get a COVID shot because you want to travel.
California, it's kind of tight.
Yeah.
I give you a spring water shot.
Well, that doesn't count.
Yeah, it does, Greg.
Are you scheduled to
Kills
get your
everything.
shot there, Vinny?
I'm trying, but every time I go to the website, I just never get any luck. I don't get lucky.
Well,
You have to go there at 3 a.m.
No, you got to when you open up your browser, you got to get away from the porn sites. I know it's easily.
How do you know that, Greg?
You get distracted, and then the next thing you know, gosh, I got to go to bed.
He just needs to move to Florida.
Well, all I know is I need it because I want to go on the next Scuba Radio Explore Adventure trip.
That's
When is
right.
that?
Well, we're working on it. I haven't announced the trip yet because all these changes they keep throwing at us every week. There's a new hoop that we have to jump through, and it's aggravating. You know, like I was saying earlier in the show. So we don't have a date set yet, but we are still working on it. But you know, like I said, it keeps getting pushed back because we got to work through these issues and find out what exactly everybody is going to need to do to make sure they can get to the boat.
Well, I
and go
know I
dive.
want to get the shot.
Okay. Well, we'll get you a shot one way or another, either in
yeah.
booze form or with a needle and a
We'll get you
vaccine.
booze for 'em.
Yeah, Jerry, what say you?
Well, I want to know, Greg.
Yeah.
I tried to ask this earlier.
Okay.
When did all these changes take place? You had to have a COVID test before you come back into the U.S.
They just announced it this last week.
So Wednesday.
Well, I mean, I think it goes into effect next week or something.
I think it
but-
goes into effect the 28th.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, end of the month,
So,
right.
so they announced it Wednesday.
Something like that.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
But they're
he has a
paying for you
point.
to stay,
but-
right?
What, say that again, Matt?
I said if you test positive, I mean, are they covering your extra stay in like just say the Bahamas?
It depends on the resort, but that's what some resorts are offering up to their guests. That hey, if that happens, we'll take care of you. But not that it's a case by case basis or place by place basis. That's one solution, but not sure how well that's going to go. We'll see. More coming up.
Scuba Radio. Scuba Radio.
Come as a guest, leave as a friend. It's a philosophy that comes from the top down at Explorer Ventures liveaboards. It doesn't matter if you're traveling solo with a buddy or group. Explorer Ventures does the liveaboard dive experience right. For proof, know Explorer Ventures has one of the best repeat customer stats in the dive industry. They're also the official liveaboard company of Scuba Radio. You've likely heard us talk about Explorer Ventures Scuba Radio scuba cruise trips many times, and we invite you to join us on the next one. However, whether we're on board with you or not, I'll bet an Explorer Ventures liveaboard trip will be one of the best dive experiences you've ever had. It just doesn't get any better. Saba St. Kitts, Turks and Caicos, the Galapagos, Maldives, Indonesia, humpback whales, and the Silver Banks, new destinations and itineraries are being added all the time. Call one of their talented travel consultants to find the Explorer Ventures liveaboard experience that's just right for you. 1-800-322-3577. That's 1-800-322-3577. Or visit explorerventures.com. That's explorerventures.com.
Scuba action star Mike Scott is back in a new audiobook, Cayman Cowboys, Reefs Under Pressure. From author Eric Douglas comes the one that started it all. Listen as Mike deals with submarines, kidnapping, betrayal, and more.
He didn't even have fins or a mask to let him see in the water. He was going to be slow and blind. If it weren't for the float, he knew there would be no way he would ever make it to the surface.
Download Cayman Cowboys or Oil and Water, Return to Cayman, Turks and Chaos, and Lionfish at Amazon, booksbyeric.com, and audible.com.
Do you have a message or a product that you'd like to share with the diving world? Well, look no further than Scuba Radio. Just like you, thousands of diving enthusiasts are hearing this message, and we could be talking about you and your product or service as early as next Saturday. Remember, a terrible thing happens when you don't advertise. Nothing. Go to ScubaRadio.com, send us an email, and let's get to work to make your marketing message matter.
Let me tell you about a friend I know. He's got the world's first scuba diving radio show. So now everywhere I am and everywhere I go, the first thing that I tune to is Scuba Radio.
This is the world's first radio show devoted to diving. I am Greg the Dive Master. CJ's in the studio with me. Scuba Radio, Scuba Squad connected via the web, as you can plainly see on Facebook Live and YouTube, Twitch, and I don't know, Periscope, and God knows what else. LinkedIn. I mean, we got a bunch of them going out there now, and it seems to be going okay. People haven't really, sent us any complaints. It's, golly, we really hate seeing you guys' faces. The alternative is we all bend over, and you don't want that either. Trust me.
Greg,
so just take.
That's not appropriate for what you just said.
I don't. I'm just pointing out the obvious. That's what we do. We try to warn everybody. It's kind of a disclaimer. It's for legal reasons that we point that out. So we're covered from any potential lawsuits and things. So it's just we're sorry. We're so sorry. Like us, please. Just like us.
Weak.
Anyway, dive into Gomez Hilton. We found out about that. We found out about the stone crab. We had a lot of fun with that. I got some big news for you next week. We're going to have a special in-studio guest next week, which ought to be very interesting. So mark your calendars accordingly, plan accordingly, and who knows? Maybe we'll plan some more diving with Matt the Blind Treasure Hunter. Because I got to tell you, I was impressed with how his team, dove with Dennis and I. I wasn't sure how this was going to go. And it's like, okay, you can't really see. You can see kind of shapes.
The blind leading the blind?
Well, it was a little bit of that. And that was a whole nother issue. I did have some.
Hey, tell him about that, Greg. Tell him about that.
Hey, you want to go into the navigation issue? Well, let me.
Navigation.
Yeah, let me explain something. I have that 23andMe thing, and I was checking the stats, and evidently I have the genes of a professional athlete, which is pretty obvious.
To who?
It says it in the 23andMe.
It's obvious to no one.
Yeah, it's obvious to everyone. There was another category too. We'll cover that next.
This is the Worldwide Scuba Radio Network.
Scuba Radio. Scuba Radio.
Bulavinaka, I'm Maggie Khan of Matava Eco Resort, Nadeva Kandavu, south of the Pacific Islands in Fiji. You are listening to Scuba Radio, the world's first radio show devoted to scuba diving. And now here's a guy I got liquored up enough to put on a grass skirt. Greg the Dive Master. Greg, you wicked girl.
This is the world's first radio show devoted to diving. Fiji is a very special place. You get to wear dresses there. Yeah.
Isn't that where they used to develop film?
Oh,
that's Fuji.
Is it?
I'm sorry.
No, Fiji is the place with the water.
Right.
Yeah, which is good because we're divers and we like to dive in it.
Oh,
but they have these things.
I see the connection.
Yeah, they have sarongs though, and so when you're done diving,
Two sarongs don't make a right.
That's hilarious.
Pardon me.
Oh boy, Barry, quit sharing your riders with CJ.
No, that would.
See, his response explains everything, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I get a discount.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the deal, and this is the God's honest truth. I tried to pull it up here. I think I found it right here. Okay, 23andMe. I did that thing, a couple years ago, and so
Non-human.
they have this category where when you give your sample, they come back and say, here are the traits that you have in your DNA, right? And one of them is that
afraid of crabs.
No, that's not it. I'm trying to find it, but there's one.
Navigation sucks.
I just saw it last week. It said that you actually have the genes of a professional athlete, which I was like, duh.
Okay, NBA ball boy, I'll give you that.
No.
Beginner, rookie NBA ball boy.
These are real health traits.
The kid that runs out on the court and wipes the sweat off the court so the real athletes don't slip.
All right. Don't be a hater. If
he's trying to find it, they're redoing it.
No, it's there. I saw it. I can't. I'm
locker room attendant.
I will find this, and CJ will be my witness.
Locker room attendant that gathers up all the jock straps and launders them.
I guess the vision didn't work.
So the point is that I do have these genes. I also have genes that said that I am a bit challenged on navigation. So people with my
that
genes
I agree with.
Yeah. Okay.
Are they counting pro bowler as an athlete?
No, they're not. Professional athlete.
See, that I could see.
Yeah, you're jealous.
Just
Everybody has to be a hater when they can't be as perfect as I. I know it sucks to be you. That's fine.
Does it say you're prone to delusion?
Okay. Well, actually,
he's a professional plunger boy.
Anyway, navigation is a bit of a challenge, evidently, for people with my particular type of DNA. Now, we had an incident on that dive with Matt, the blind treasure hunter, where after we, what are you laughing at now? What, CJ?
This is such a clunky name. The blind treasure hunter.
Well, Matt, the blind treasure hunter.
You're literally just saying what he is.
Well, that's his new YouTube handle. He's trying to get that out so people can look him up on YouTube.
It's not snappy.
Well,
sorry, guys.
No, Modern Goonie is the YouTube name.
Well, yeah, that's your Goonie.
I don't even know what that is.
But people need to know, like, if they say, hey, there's the Modern Goonie. Well, who's the Modern Goonie? He's the blind treasure hunter. Oh, duh! Now I know.
Greg,
see? Jerry?
If he wants to be a Goonie, he has to be Chunk or Sloth or something like that.
All right. Didn't watch the movie. Don't care.
I don't even know what a Goonie is, let alone a modern one.
Okay, so
That's
anyway,
my problem.
back to me.
Okay, back to Greg.
So with the genes of a professional athlete and being challenged navigationally, it did come into play a little bit on our dive last Sunday. What happened was I was leading the dive. I was, I'm familiar with the site just south of Commercial Pier. We went and did this beach dive. We were only in about, 15 feet, 20 feet of water tops. And we're cruising out past the pier a little bit, just south of Commercial Pier. And checking out all the holes and everything, the reef structure, great lobster habitat, saw the stone crab, the whole thing, saw a little lobster, but that was about it. Didn't see much as far as marine life, but the visibility was good. And we hung out there. We had a good dive. And I was watching, Matt and Kyle, diving behind it. They were following us, and they did really good. I was really impressed with their skills because they're all relatively new divers. If that's the best dive they've ever done so far, you can imagine they got a little bit more diving to do. But, we'd been out there for about 45 minutes or so. And was like, all right, well, let's start heading back to the shore. And Dennis, my dive buddy, was holding the dive flag. And he was having some issues when we started going back to shore. And those guys, Matt, Kyle, and Steve, Scuba Steve was the other guy, by the way. And they started swimming on their back on the surface, right?
Right.
So he just decided we'll just stay on the surface. They started swimming back, and Dennis and I are probably about 20 feet behind them. So we start swimming as well. And Dennis is having some issues with the flag, and I can tell he's struggling a little bit. There's a little bit of a current and wind at the surface, not much, but just enough to make it like, okay, this kind of sucks balls. Let's, Dennis goes, I'd much rather swim underwater. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, sure. We're in like 15 feet of water. Let's just dive down. We'll swim back to shore, and you won't have to deal with the flag pulling you around so much. And so we go back down, and I kind of take a bearing at the surface of the shore, and kind of just like make a mental note of the ridges in the sand, like the current ridges you'll see on a sand patch, and go down underwater and start swimming that way. And some way or another, after about 10 minutes or so,
you haven't reached land.
Well, no, we were fairly a ways offshore. Stop laughing,
So
Barry.
you popped up and
This isn't the funny part.
You popped up and looked at the beach, and you couldn't head that direction.
Yeah, no, I came up. I said, okay, let me get an idea where we're at, and I'll go up. And I look up,
It's pretty funny,
and I
guys.
pop the surface, and I see open water. I'm like, what the hell? What the hell happened? And
it
I
was
was
at
like,
that
Dennis.
moment he
And
knew
Dennis
he
comes
messed
up. Yeah, Dennis comes up behind me. He goes, yeah. I was like, well, I wondered why did you turn around like that? I'm like, what? He goes, I thought you were going after some lobster or something. I'm like, well, I thought I was going to the beach, but evidently we ended up right back where we began.
It's a good thing you weren't a professional athlete, because you wouldn't be able to find the end zone.
Well, good thing I am, because I had no problem still swimming back to the shore, despite the fact that
Greg,
we had
you're
to
running the wrong way.
increase the distance by
If
2.
you'd have paid attention to those ripples, you would have knew which way to go.
If you looked at your compass, you would have known which way.
I didn't bother to look at the compass. We were in like 15 feet of water. I figured like, just go.
Well, the depth
Something
should have been
distracted me.
Go west, Greg.
Okay.
Go west.
Yeah.
Due
no.
west.
Yeah.
If
I
you would
didn't.
have looked at your compass,
I
if you
once
looked
again,
at
I didn't do
anything,
that. That
it
should
have
be
been
the
getting shallower.
depth gauge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you, Casey.
yeah. Well, once again, you guys are wrong,
Who's
because
wrong?
the depth there at that site pretty much slopes right off to 10 feet, and pretty
but
much
Greg,
stays that.
If you're going inshore, it's going to get shallower.
It is not. That's what I just said, Jerry. Did you not hear me?
Eventually.
I just when you get right up the beach, but right there, this particular day, there's a bit of a trough right there at the beginning of the beach. So when you jump off, there's kind of like a little ledge right down, and almost immediately you end up, say, 20, 30 feet offshore. You're in your 10 feet of water. So it kind of slopes off pretty quick, and then it stays there, maybe goes down to 15, 20 feet. Matt, back me up. That's accurate. When you
So
say...
you will never hit the beach. Is that what you're saying? Ever? You won't run into the beach.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that if you're just going by your depth gauge, that isn't going to help you, because
Yes, it
our
will.
depth didn't. No, it didn't. Wouldn't help
Greg,
at all.
If you have swam 100 yards,
Don't argue with me. I'm right even when I'm wrong, damn you. Okay? I have spoken, and that is how it was. And Matt is backing me up.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't see nothing. I just
See?
heard that Greg had
See?
lost.
So there you go.
Dude,
There's my witness.
I just
leading the blind.
Listen. If you're gonna commit a crime, Matt's the perfect guy.
Oh, hell
I
yeah.
didn't see nothing.
Right. Yeah, you can dive with me anytime, Matt. Screw these other guys. They don't know where they're going.
Always take directions from the guy that can't see.
Okay.
Don't screw those other guys,
that's-
Matt. You've caught enough crabs this year.
That's
Yeah,
not
Matt
accurate.
would probably find the coast before you would, Greg.
Yeah, well, he did actually. They got to shore much.
What does that
quicker
tell
than-
you?
It tells us that we just took a scenic route. We wanted to dive longer, Dennis and I. So we did that, and once I came up and I'm like, go, and then I'm like, oh man, how did I do that? I'm like, okay, well, let's go. It was no
See,
big deal.
Greg wanted to close his eyes and get to feel what it felt like to be me.
Right. See, I was trying to, I wanted to connect with the whole vibe, maybe enhance my other senses, but obviously are not very good, actually. It didn't work in my case.
Super believable.
The other senses didn't kick up in like any percentage that helped in
Like,
that.
say, your sense of direction?
Yeah, but it's it's in my DNA. It's my DNA. So you can't do much about that. It's just how it is.
Scuba Radio.
Would you like to talk diving? Greg the Dive Master's all toweled down and ready to take your call now. Call Scuba Radio at 1-888-88-SCUBA.
Power, simplicity, reliability. It's what you demand of your dive computer. And Shearwater delivers. Shearwater evolved out of one tech diver's need for a reliable, easy-to-use rebreather dive computer and quickly became the tech market leader. Now recreational divers have taken notice. The Shearwater Peregrine is a simple, full-color, multi-gas dive computer. It's also the most economical Shearwater dive computer released to date. Check it out and the entire line at shearwater.com. Shearwater, dive computers for demanding divers.
Hosting a radio show about scuba diving, flying, and boating is one of the best gigs on the planet. It's actually part of my job to check out and report on cool new products I personally use to enhance my diving, flying, and boating adventures. However, I do believe in sharing the joy, and this is why I wanted to tell you about Nanook Professional Protective Cases. Nanook cases are designed to protect the most sensitive equipment in the harshest environments. From their high-impact NK7 resin to their exclusive Power Claw latches, Nanook has raised the bar for those of you that demand the best protection for your gear. Plus, Nanook cases generally cost less than similar products currently on the market. From an iPhone to a full set of dive gear, whatever you need to shield from the elements, Nanook Professional Protective Cases has the size, shape, and color for you. Go to nanook.com. That's NANUK.com for Nanook Professional Protective Cases. The evolution of protection.
Hey, baby, what's going down?
Later, nerd.
Are you lacking with the ladies?
Nope.
Enhance your scuba superpowers with a new ScubaRadio hat.
Wow, nice hat.
Just picked it up at ScubaRadio.com.
Buy 2 ScubaRadio hats and get free shipping.
Need a dive buddy, sexy?
Always. And I got a Scuba Radio hat for you, too.
New ScubaRadio hats are now available at ScubaRadio.com. So cool. Order yours today. Or stay a loser.
Prepare to rig for dive! Your surface interval is complete. You're now clear to dive with Scuba Radio.
Scuba Radio.
The world's first radio show devoted to diving.
Scuba Radio.
Dive, dive, dive.
Sea hag syndrome. So
Oh,
happy
dear God.
birthday to Mermaid Kristen. She survived it.
Barely a compliment. I mean, not even.
What?
Not barely a compliment.
What do you mean? It is.
You're screwed, Greg.
Yeah, she's not here. I can do anything.
She'll be up for murder now.
Hey, I found it on 23andMe. I just showed CJ. He is my witness. Muscle composition, according to my DNA, is common with power athletes. Suck it,
Now,
losers.
okay.
Then what happened to you?
Yeah, then why can't we see that visually? Why isn't that represented?
It's in my DNA. It's microscopic.
So you don't develop it.
Like the muscles are microscopic.
Yeah, whatever.
Greg.
Yes, Jerry.
It's a pop-up ad.
Huh?
It's a pop-up ad.
No, Jerry. When he purchased it, it said for plus $5, we'll put in whatever genetics you want us.
Don't miss it.
Exactly.
The blind
perfect,
guy.
Matt, perfect. All right.
Now there's your wisdom, Greg.
No. He may lead our next dive, but he is not. He's not scoring points by making.
Tell him what it
smart-ass
said about
comments
upper
like that.
back hair.
That I am. Let's see, upper back hair. It says
yes, please.
A little likely to have upper back hair.
More prone to freckling.
Nope. Yeah, well, that's true. Actually, I do have that too a little bit. But the main thing is that my DNA is common with elite power athletes. Dr. Doug, that means that basically I'm kind of like borderline superhuman, or from a doctor's standpoint, what would you say?
That's borderline.
Go that far.
Wouldn't go that far?
Does it say prone to exaggeration?
No.
There may be some prone to exaggeration in there as well.
No, that's not a category.
Greg,
You guys.
how many Neanderthal variants do you have?
I have no relatives that are Neanderthals.
Very, very highly likely to
BS.
outright lie.
Yeah.
It says it in 23andMe. It'll tell you how many
Yeah,
Neanderthal
don't care. Don't
variants
care.
you have.
Don't be jealous. He's,
I'm not jealous.
You're just mad because you don't, share that same common trait in your DNA as a elite power athlete.
Oh, he must be at the higher end then.
Yeah, whatever.
He's just screwed. Period.
Well,
Yeah.
whatever. Everybody wants to be me.
Hard to believe, ladies and gentlemen, but I believe Greg is stone cold sober right now.
Yeah, it is hard to believe.
I think it's
actually.
like tea in his mug over there.
Yeah,
I don't know what
actually,
it is.
though, it says, I am unlikely to flush when it comes to alcohol
Well,
flush
we-
reaction.
Greg, as much as we love you, we don't want you to flush.
Okay.
Do want
Anyway,
him to flush.
when it comes to diving, that's good to know. At least I have the DNA.
What does it
That
say
would.
about cardiovascular disease, Greg?
I don't know. I don't care. You ignore the ones that you don't like, and you enhance the ones that you do. Right?
I wouldn't doubt that there's some Bigfoot DNA in there.
Yeah, I'm surprised there's not even, like a diver thing. Like, what are you, more than likely to want to scuba dive?
This is worth
in
it.
my DNA. What?
The last thing I just read is more than worth whatever was paid for this.
Yeah.
What?
Likely to smell asparagus.
Yeah.
I told you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's information you can use.
Well, yeah. I mean, and we had COVID. And
do you
we could've-
enjoy it? Do you like asparagus? Do
Even
you eat it?
after COVID, I can smell asparagus.
Do you
How
eat
about
it though?
Well,
do you like it?
Greg,
I don't mind it. It's good for your urethra.
Taste asparagus.
For your
but
what?
you can smell it.
Urethra.
Aretha Franklin?
Yeah, it's good for that.
It's good for your urethra Franklin.
It is. That's probably on there too. Yeah. I
Or
mean,
is it
Bubble Boy
Franklin?
chimed in with something, didn't you, or did you?
Oh yeah, Greg. You can probably you also hate cilantro.
I can. Why?
I don't know. It should be on there, right?
I know someone that hates cilantro.
Who is that? Who is
Jana
cilantro?
hates cilantro.
I hate it too.
Oh.
It's on my test. I hate cilantro.
We'll go out to eat in a Mexican restaurant. She'll
I
be
love
like, "This doesn't have
coffee.
cilantro, does it?"
It says I'm prone to smoke and drink coffee.
Huh. What are
How
the
many
odds?
That's because you're a
Neanderthal
man.
variants do you have,
Okay.
Rolls?
I have 279 Neanderthal variants.
Whoa, you're
Yeah.
up there in the high end.
That would
Most of
explain
those
the
are
clubby.
Well,
drags
how many
everywhere.
Neanderthal DNA samples or whatever do you have, Barry? Do you know?
I got to look them up again. Hold
Oh,
on.
do you have
I'll go
this
look 'em
too?
up. Yeah, I did it.
Well, why
years
didn't
ago.
you check? What does your DNA say about your professional athlete stuff?
I got it. I'm screwed. That's right.
Yeah. Says
I'll look it up for next week.
have the muscles
I'll
common
look
with that of a girly man.
No, I got to look it up. I got to log
Yeah,
it.
you-
Barry, Greg's 3.3%.
He conveniently doesn't know.
Most likely to do your taxes.
I'll tell you what, it's in my DNA. I like diving. I'm going with it, and I'm gonna have to call him up, add that category to 23andMe. All right, I don't know where that was going, but we got it out there anyway. And that will do it for this week. Till next time, remember, it's always better where, gang?
Down, where it's wetter.
Safe diving, everyone.
If you be pressurized there, you'll want to be there on Scuba Radio.
Scuba Radio is a production of Overboard Entertainment Incorporated.
This seems the logical place for fish to congregate.
Remember, you can listen live or to archives of past editions of Scuba Radio worldwide over the internet at ScubaRadio.com.
So we're in international waters? Indeed so.
Tell a friend and buddy up with your radio every week for Scuba Radio, the world's first radio show devoted to diving.
Well, it's all very nice here, but we should be going. I miss me wife and me oxygen.
Yes, we all miss our loved ones and gases. Let's go.
The opinions you just heard on Scuba Radio are those of the hosts, callers, and guests.
Okay, you know what I just heard? Blah, 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 blah.
They are not necessarily those of any station or network, its management, or advertisers.
Come on, quit yanking me.
Scuba diving does involve risk and should never be conducted without proper instruction and training.
Oh, what's the worst thing that could happen?
I could die.
Have any questions or comments? Feel free to do so via the web at ScubaRadio.com.